Hey nerds, Alex here from Nerds Being Geeks, and I went to Motor City Comic Con, and this is my haul. Alright everyone, so let's get into this. Went to Motor City Comic Con in Novi. It's, I believe, Michigan's biggest comic convention. I'm pretty sure there was just a typical Comic Con. I mean, you got Artist Alley, you have, celebrities from movies, TV, animation. Oh, the burps, they're back. Oh, comic book creators. Typical Comic-Con stuff. I cosplayed as Casey Jones. So I was supposed to meet a lot of, comic book YouTubers. And I cosplayed as Casey Jones. And apparently they all walked by me and didn't even notice. Though there was a few I was supposed to meet, but that convention is in a lead bunker, and I had zero reception. So I couldn't reach out to them unless I went outside, but I wasn't going to go stand out in 45-degree weather just to get a hold of them. I figured I'd see them walking around, and I never did. So that sucked. You might see from the pictures that it looks kind of thin out, and this was on a Saturday that I went, and this was midday. I think there was several things that led to kind of less crowds at this convention, and I'd have to say COVID is one of them. Another would be that New York Comic Con was the previous weekend, and then Baltimore Comic Con was the weekend after. So those are two major conventions, and Motor City's right in the middle of that, and that is a much smaller convention compared to those two. I think a lot of, artists, vendors, celebrities probably were like, yeah, I'm gonna go to New York and Baltimore. Motor City Comic Con is usually in the spring, I believe in May, and it is returning to spring next May 2022. It was announced. So 7 months and they're gonna start Motor City Comic Con all over again. I'm sure that'll have a much larger turnout. So I went to Motor City Comic Con with my brother-in-law and my cousin. My cousin is a big Star Wars fan. He picked up a lot of books. As you can see, there is quite the resemblance. My cousin Anthony is a big Star Wars fan, probably the biggest Star Wars fan that I know of. So he's working on his Marvel Star Wars run. He got a bunch of the filler issues at Motor City Comic Con. He actually gets a few of his issues from CodyCon as well. And I got plenty of CodyCon videos. You can check that out. It's a claim sale that happens every week. He also got a sketch done by an artist in Artist Alley. Let's get into the haul. First up, it's just a program, but I love the Batman art on the cover. Typical Comic-Con program. I have some going back to when I started going in like 2011, 2012. I just like collecting them. I think they're cool. Next up, as a big wrestling fan, the last few years I've gotten back into it. And this is Tony Schiavone's Butt and Seats. I'm a big AEW fan. a fan of Tony Shivani. He was the voice of wrestling in the 90s, and he's come back to keep on going. So, and he came out with a graphic novel about his life in wrestling. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm definitely going to check it out. I was very excited to find that. As you all know, I am working on the Tomb of Dracula run. Picked this up for $5 because that's usually what I'm trying to do, is $5 or less. This is issue 56. It's a pretty cute cover. So the rest of these comics are all going to be Batman. Let's check it out. Not only Batman, but New 52 Batman, because I'm that close to finishing it now. Alright, so here we go. This is Batman 23.4. And all those 23-point issues are just related to villains. And this one is Bane, which is my favorite Batman villain. I believe I have a Riddler and a Penguin one as well. I'm working on that New 52 run. I picked up issue 43. I believe that is the first full appearance of Mr. Bloom. Just killer Capullo art. Next up, Batman New 52 issue 46. Just getting closer to finishing that run. Issue 47. All of those Batman New 52 books were picked up from a vendor that was like half off, so I got a steal on those books, which, you know, being a cheap ass, I like. These last 4 books I already owned. These were pulled out of my short box, and I was taking them to the con because I wanted to meet Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder. If you've heard me before, I'll say it again. That New 52 Batman run got me back into comics. That was, I stopped collecting comics in the early 2000s because of a local comic shop closing, and I never picked up books again until the New 52 came out, and boy oh boy did I hop on that Batman book. It brought me right back into the hobby. So I went on about a 5-6 year hiatus from comics, and this really brought me back. So that Batman New 52 run is, it just means a lot to me. So I wanted to get some books signed by Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder. Another thing before we get into these signed books, I will say my experience with Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder. So I waited in line about an hour, 30 minutes. They were running a little behind. It's understandable, it happens. Finally get up there. Scott Snyder's talking to a few people, so I come up, hand my books over to Greg Capullo, and I ask him, hey, can you make these out to Alex? And he goes, yeah, sure. And I also told him, you know, the same story I just told you guys. Hey, this was the run that got me back into comics. I put it on my pull list. This was the only thing on my pull list. I absolutely love this run. Thank you. Just amazing art. You guys killed it. And he's like, yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks. Then he just kind of put them in the pile. And I noticed that he only did 1 book to Alex and I had 4. I'm like, oh, well, whatever. And so I waited for Scott to finish talking with those people in front of me. It's my turn. I was like, hey Scott, how are you? He's like, I'm great, man. Thanks for coming out. I asked him, like I asked Greg, hey, can you make this out to Alex? And he goes, do you want them all made out to Alex? I was like, yeah, if you don't mind, I'd appreciate it. He goes, hey man, these are your books. He's like, I'll put on there whatever. So I really appreciated that. He made that extra effort to be like, yeah, I'll put whatever on here. I'll sign them all to Alex, whatever you want, man. And I thought that was really cool. And as soon as he said, you want me to make them all out to Alex, Greg Capullo like looks over and yells out, yeah, why don't you make them out to eBay? And then he leans back and yells it even louder, yeah, make them out to eBay, Scott. And I was just like, I don't have CGC, I don't have CBCS, I don't have anyone witnessing these. I have them personalized to Alex. That's me. I'm Alex. I'm like, no, these are staying in my personal collection. They're going right on my shelf. I'm going to display them. That's why I asked you guys to put my name on it. And besides, who would buy them that are personalized to someone? And then, you know, people in the crowd were like, yeah, I'll buy it. And I'm like, I think they were just being smartasses, but I ignored them. And I told Scott the same story that I told Greg. I was like, really appreciate it. This run got me back into comics. I kept it on my pull list until I left for the Army in 2013. And he goes, man, I really appreciate that. He goes, it just means the world to me that, you know, something that I wrote, like, you know, brought you back into the hobby. So he's like, I really appreciate that. You know, Scott put a little something extra on these books that you'll see. And I'm so grateful. I loved it. It was just, you know, Scott was quite the experience. It was pretty awesome to meet those two. So before I get into the signing again, I just want to say, during the signing, the first book was free to sign. So you could go up there and have a free book, just one book signed for free, and that was it. That was pretty cool. And then all the books were $10 after that each. So 10 Greg, 10 Scott. And if you were getting them CGC'd or witnessed, it was 30. So I didn't have them graded or witnessed or anything. These are just for my personal collection to sit in my case. So the first one I have is Batman 25. It's pretty close to like a blank. It's basically a blank cover, but it's all black, and I thought that silver would really pop, and it does look really good. Next up is Batman number 10, and Scott killed it on this. He put to Alex, thanks from Gotham. I thought that was cool. A little something extra on there. And then we got Batman number 3. It just says to Alex, and Greg and Scott signed it. And then probably the best one, that this just made my day. It was just a little something extra. I just thought it was just incredible. So, you know, Greg signed it up here by the title, but this is Batman number 6. And Scott signed it to Alex, the court is watching you. And just as a massive mark for Batman New 52 run, just having them put on there, that just made my day. I absolutely love this book. So that was my experience at Motor City Comic Con. If you saw a guy dressed as Casey Jones, that was me. Also, another cool thing that Scott did was, it's like, hey, I asked Greg for a picture. I got a picture with Greg, and obviously, and then I got a picture with Scott. And as I was cosplayed as Casey Jones, he started talking to me about Turtles. He goes, man, I love the Casey Jones. He's like, that's awesome. He started talking to me about a plane ride he had with Kevin Eastman and how they just kind of talked to Turtles and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to meet him one day. So that was cool that he like kind of, you know, pointed out the cosplay I was doing and wanted to talk to me about that. It was just a great experience. I hope to be going to the Motor City Comic Con in May. So I'll probably go as Casey Jones again. That was pretty cool to cosplay. I haven't cosplayed in like 10 years. So that was really cool. And I'll probably do it again. It was an easy cosplay, so why not? Thanks for checking out the video. Like, share, subscribe, and stuff. This is Alex signing off from Nerds Being Geeks. Thanks for watching.